Okay, there we go. Megan, did we get any update from our?
Nope, I just looked. I don't see anything.
Cool. So I'm gonna assume that that's a no-go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey guys, we had a guest lined up for today. But like I know I woke up at one point last night, it was like in essence hailing and raining. But that was also true in Miami where this guest is, and so they're I'm having some internet issues, so he won't be joining us today. Um, so you guys have me, Megan, and some of the coaches. Actually, the coaches haven't to post the link somewhere here. Make copy. Okay, as such, since we found out just, a few moments ago that our guest was not joining us, we do not have a presentation or a super duper plan for today. So we're game for questions, I think. And I'm sure someone will ask a question that Kyle can speak on or I can speak on. Megan can speak on. Sandra just joined. All of those things. So the floor is yours if you want. No promises that you don't ask a question, and one of us talks for 10 minutes addressing said question. So, yes, ma'am.
My biggest goal for next year is to really get my systems in order. I want to be a streamlined ship. I don't know. But with that being said, obviously you have to delegate some things. What are some strategies that you've used for outsourcing that feel really secure and safe? I have talked to other people, other mentors, like contracting out or hiring somebody is terrifying to me. And I know it's important. And before I hire somebody, I want to know, I want it to be really streamlined. I already have hired some people and it's just like, they have got questions and I answer. There's no, I don't know. I want it to be more structured.
So we were actually just talking to Abby, who was talking about another student who's kind of in the same boat. And he's hired a couple of people, but she commented that he wasn't utilizing them well because he was still putting out all the fires, like he was still doing all the work. So one thing I did, and I had Megan do this. Megan's like pro at outsourcing or like working with contractors for bookkeeping. But we discovered, Megan, I'm going to pick on you for a second, just as an example. So something I started doing was I would take a piece of paper and write down everything I would do. I would just brain dump, like, why do I feel overwhelmed right now? And I would just write down, like, start to finish, what is this supposed to look like? And what do I not need to be doing? So do I have to be the one sending the engagement letter? Do I have to be the one, in the case of last year, doing Upwork? Like, what is it that, and I just kind of highlighted which items could I outsource? And so we had Megan do the same thing. I was like, hey, can you like, because she was realizing at one point that she needed to start outsourcing other things outside of just transactions. I think that was kind of the conversation, Megan. And I had her just write down what all are you doing? Because then from there you can start outsourcing like pulling statements or engagement letters or all of these other things that you're touching.
Like pulling
And
statements
then,
is a great example. Right now I am pulling statements and it is the most mundane, terrible task, but it's sensitive information. And do I trust
well, so you can set
somebody?
it up so that so like pulling statements was one of the first things outside of transactions that I outsourced. But here's how I did it. So you'll hear me say, I never get clients direct
Logins, right?
right? That's problem number one. So if you have direct logins, you can't outsource it. So you
Right.
need to go back to those clients and say, I need accountant access. Or
Mhm.
now if we can't, for some reason, they're using a personal account and we cannot get accountant access,
Mhm.
they have to send us the statement.
Mhm.
They have to, because now my contractor can't log in because the contractor would have direct access to funds. And I trust you as a contractor,
Not that much.
but I don't trust human nature, right? Like I used to be an
Yeah.
auditor. Like I've seen so much fraud even on the other
Ugh.
side
Yeah.
that
I
there's no
trust
way.
me.
Right, right. Like I trust me, but like I don't trust human nature. So the other thing we did was and it took like I found like in this process that we had still gotten some personal logins when I went through this
Mhm.
process. So immediately the line was drawn. This is the new process. We can no longer pull these because it's a personal login. So if we're having to text you for a code, that also like, even if this is just you and you're like, I never want to outsource statements. So for others listening, if you're having to text the owner for a code, how in the world do you orchestrate that so that it's not this like, oh, now you're ready 30 minutes later and I've moved on. Right now I'm at the park with the kids. I'm not by my computer. Great. Like you're ready. I'm not like I can't imagine trying to juggle that. So I don't know how you guys do that. But if you think about like how do I make my life easier? So that was one thing that we did. The second thing we did, right? Because they're still going to want to text you a code. They're still going to want to authenticate you. So we set everything up to a Google Voice number. So I now have a banking email that I pay for. So it costs me $6 a month plus a Google Voice number. So I think I spend $20 a month on this whole setup. It's worth it to me. Um, I've questioned it, but it is still worth it to me. So if my contractors need a code, they text it to this other phone number versus my business phone number. And that it texts a code to this email. So all they have to do is log into the email.
Mhm.
And so in that situation, you really want to have one person doing the statement pulling, like one person needs access to it. If you have two, it really works the same way as long as both of them can access that email. If not, you can auto forward the description. So you can set up a forwarding rule in Gmail to auto forward any
Oh.
email that matches this subject title.
Mm.
So like your mid
Okay.
first statement or whatever, you would
Yeah.
set up a rule and it will auto forward those emails.
Okay.
So they'll get it just as quickly as if they're checking the email. So that's one step. But like
Right.
that's just
Yep.
an example of what you can do on a mass scale. And when you write down, here's everything I'm doing from marketing my business to getting that discovery call. Here's every step that's in between it. I'm going to send them, maybe you're like Bonnie and you have a onboarding questionnaire that you want them to fill out.
Mhm.
How do you automate it? How do you automate the receipt of it? How do you ensure that that was done before the call, if that's something you want? And I was doing this too about a year ago until I wrote it down, and it wasn't the best way I could automate the process. So for me, I found that it's more essential for me to get QuickBooks access. So on Calendly, I ask, can you give me QuickBooks access? Here's a video on how to, here's the email you need.
Okay.
Because if I get QuickBooks access, I can see what's going on. The questionnaire was filled with so many things that I really just need after you sign the engagement letter. Like, are you an
Okay.
S Corp? Are you an LLC? Like,
Yeah.
confirming all of those things.
Yeah.
Give me the tax return that I really just needed that on the back end. I didn't need that
Yeah.
to quote. Like it wasn't as essential. So if I had to pick one, and I did, I picked QuickBooks Access for me personally. Because I can also log in and see, are you an LLC? Like, is it set
What
up?
about when they don't have a QuickBooks? What do you do then? No QuickBooks.
They just tell me that they don't have it.
Okay.
But that gives me different questions to ask during the discovery call, and I'm not having to weed through like who has, like, oh, I thought so and so had QuickBooks and I don't know if they're using desktop or online. I never see it, right? Like I'm not having to
Yeah.
read through it. I'm just, okay, I need bank statements. Okay, I need this to get you a quote, and then we'll worry about it on the back end. So if I set it up, it will be this. If you have it and you can get access to it, it's this. It just changes the conversation, but it gives me some information going in. So,
And I
um,
think you said at some point that do charge, you do charge for, um,
I charge for diagnostic reviews and
yeah,
I
okay,
charge
yeah,
for QuickBooks setup.
okay, gotcha.
I don't always charge for diagnostic review. You could. There are some bookkeepers like the 5 Minute Bookkeeper who
Mhm.
like always charges. I have found my best clients come, well, it weeds out bad clients,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
I don't always have to do a diagnostic review because sometimes they're just like, yep, it's a mess. And
yeah,
if they're willing to go with my cleanup rate, then that's fine. If they're hemming and hawing about the cleanup rate, it's okay, let's do a diagnostic review to see what's really going on. So, because if right, so for me though, I haven't outsourced the diagnostic review. So if I take someone's money to do a diagnostic review, I'm the one doing it. So that's why I don't offer. Like it's
gotcha.
if I had Kyle doing it,
Mhm.
sure, all day long. I'll sign up my contractor to do the diagnostic review. And
Mhm.
it's absolutely something I could train on.
Mhm.
I do it the same way every time.
Mhm.
And it takes 30 minutes. And I have successfully consistently charged like 350, 325 for it. So I was trying to charge in the 600s because that was advice I
Mhm.
got from QuickBooks,
Mhm.
like a QuickBooks webinar that I attended.
Mhm.
Guys, I have something to show you on QuickBooks. Um, so I'll see if there's any other questions and then I'll get y'all's permission to show you guys that. Um, but I didn't find that I was selling diagnostic reviews enough at that amount to make it even worth like mentioning. And I don't want to make it that hard to sign up with me.
Right. Okay.
So for me, 350 was the sweet spot that I found. So, because I got one yes, and then could I get another yes? And okay, if I get too many yeses, then that's too low. But
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
But you could train a contractor to do that. So as saying, I'm admitting, I've kept
Yeah.
something on my plate that probably doesn't have to be on my plate, which is why I don't offer it every time.
I feel like for me, there's probably contractors out there that already know how to do it like better than me because I feel like I've been doing bookkeeping full time now for 2 years, which is pretty crazy to think about. But and then I have basic experience before that, so it's just like I'm still learning on the job. How am I supposed to train somebody else? Like that's intimidating. Like obviously, I have this group as a resource, but
Yeah. So
there's
you
so
would,
much I don't already know. I can't really afford to pay somebody that I can't pay them what I'm paying, charging, obviously, but
so Megan and I have found that we are more successful in there's an exception if you find like if you're willing to pay like top dollar for an expert to come in
mhm.
and partner with you. My highest paid contractor is paid $30 an hour.
Okay.
Um, I do have a contractor from the Philippines that helps with the kind of like admin website stuff. She's great. She
Mm,
like it. Um, I I pay her a lot less. I think there's still a minimum wage threshold and things like that in some of those countries. So we don't want to pay someone $2 an hour ever.
yeah,
Like that happens. I'm not a proponent of that. Like
yeah.
there is still a minimum wage and you need to pay attention to that whenever you're hiring someone overseas or in Mexico. Mexico is on the same time zone.
Okay.
Um, and they speak English too and all of those things. So I'm also really close to the Mexico border. So,
Okay.
a lot of people at church are like, visiting home and they're going across the
Mm,
border, right? Like
okay.
it's
Gotcha.
I also grew up in Texas, so Mexico, United States doesn't, hit me the same way probably.
Yeah.
Because I'm closer to that. Filipinos are loyal,
Mm,
oh so loyal.
okay.
They will stay with you until you die. Like,
Okay.
like, there's someone that can pull bank statements because they like you would have to test them, are they trustworthy?
Okay. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I have some tips on testing them first. So you would find
Okay.
3 to 5 of them.
Okay.
And
And
this goes
how do
US
you
or
even,
whatever.
yeah.
You give them a task. You can record it on Zoom, say, hey, this is what I want you to do. Sorry, I still have a cough. And tell them how long you think it's going to take. So you can tell them this should take you 3 to 10 hours. Whatever
Okay.
it's what you're willing to pay, right? So if they're like, hey, I want $8 an hour, are you willing to pay them $80? Each of them $80, right? Like if it really does take all of them 8, 10 hours, you're gonna know how long it's gonna take. So you can do it in 5. So you're gonna say 3 to 10. You know that you could do it in 5.
Okay.
Okay. If you have 3 that come back and say, hey, it took me 5 hours, and you have 2 of those 5 that said, hey, it took me 10,
Okay.
the 2 that
Then
took
you
10
kind
are
of,
out, right?
okay.
So the anomaly, either they lied about the time it took
Mhm.
or they weren't efficient,
Right. Okay.
right? If you had one person say, hey, it took me 3, well, now you're wondering, like, did it really take you 3? Because it took me 5
Yeah.
and it took everyone else 5. Did it really
Yeah.
take you 3 or are you just trying to get the job? And
Yeah.
then
Okay.
does that make sense? Because like now they
Yeah.
might get the job and you hired them because they were efficient. Now they're taking longer,
Yeah.
right? And then you're going to
Yeah.
evaluate the quality of work. Did you do it? Did you
Yeah.
follow instructions? Did you accomplish? Did you ask smart questions? Maybe you missed something. You
Mhm.
forgot to tell them something and they asked a really
Yeah.
smart question.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And then you can work with both of those two for 2 weeks and just see which one works. Maybe you work with both of them for a while. And that could be 2 hours a week.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be full time. It doesn't have to be 20 hours. If you were to go somewhere like the Philippines,
And how do you,
like
I'm not physically going there. How do you find somebody to from the
so
Philippines? Hey,
there are
Philippines,
job boards.
do
You
you have
have to
anybody?
I know. You have to be really careful. There are a lot of businesses out there who are going to charge you to connect you with a Filipino, and then they're gonna, charge you $10 an hour. They're gonna pay them $2 to $4 an hour. We don't want that, right? Because we want to take care of the people working for us. This is true of the United States too. Um, and I'm not saying the model's wrong. Like in the United States, we have staffing companies all day long.
Mhm.
They're gonna hire you out for $75 and they're gonna build a company 125.
Mhm. Yeah.
That is a legit model.
Mhm.
But I hope you're getting paid well.
Yeah.
So I use one VA away. It
One
was recommended
VA
by
away.
one of my clients,
Mm.
actually.
I
So
just dropped it in the chat.
Oh,
yeah.
thanks.
So he has a course, he has training. I just cancel and start the subscription as I need it. And I
Okay.
kind of at the point where I might go there again for admin. So I only go,
Mm.
I only use this for admin. I have tried accounting and it
Mhm.
just doesn't work for me. They're trying to get too many clients. A lot of them have set themselves up as agencies. And so they're taking on clients and then they've got their own contractors. So I can't do that. So I asked those questions in the interview. I learn about them. I learn about their families. I really get to know them. The one that's been with me since August, um, she fell into websites. I didn't hire her to do websites. She just started
Okay.
solving problems sites. She
Nice.
recently was like, hey, I'm working on this website, but I see that you have your bookkeeping website connected. And she started solving problems on my bookkeeping website where backlinks are broken and things like that. And she took initiative and I'm like, great, fine. Like,
Mhm.
and we actually do pay her $20 or we pay her 20 hours a week fixed.
Okay.
Like it's
Gotcha.
she's on salary. Like I have to make sure I'm finding work for her.
Okay.
So when she said website, I'm like, great, because I'm sick. I have no work for you. So like,
Oh,
you need me to log into something? Great, here you go. But
okay.
I mean, I would also feel like really guilty firing her if I ever needed to, because she's like, I love what you're doing. I love your book that's coming out. I love all of this. I read it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like,
Oh, she's
so
your cheerleader.
she's my cheerleader. I'm like, let's keep her.
Yeah.
So she is involved, and she's, catching the vision. She's catching the mission. She's a team player. I can train her on anything. So if it ever came a time, websites are top shape, but we need this other thing done, I could record a video and train her on a new task, and
Yeah.
she would go to YouTube. She would make sure she understood what it
Okay.
is. So
Yeah.
that's an example, right? Like, my other two contractors are US based. One I
Mhm.
pay, I pay them different hourly rates. So,
Yeah.
um,
I have four different people, and I kind of like you said, just look, let's try it.
yeah,
So they're all US based, but I pay them by project because I'm a little like afraid of the I work 25 hours. I can't afford you to take this long. So as they get more efficient though, I'm just like, well, then you get a pay raise. Like once you kind of get it, I don't want to punish them either for, being efficient. I want them to be motivated. So
so
what's
my
your
contractor that I pay $30 an hour now, she started with me like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
I found her on Upwork. I paid her for a project-based job.
Okay.
She was really good at it, so she continued on at 30%.
Okay.
The guy was in construction, so he eventually just ran into cash flow issues and wasn't able to pay me. So we
Gotcha.
disengaged. She got busy with life and work, and so we just kind of like parted ways.
Mhm.
Something happened where all of a sudden I had a ton of work. I don't remember if I reached out to her, if we crossed paths again. But I reached out to her, and that's when we went hourly, because I already knew she was super
Mhm.
efficient and good at what she did.
Okay.
Makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Okay.
So that evolved.
Gotcha.
And those were good finds. I actually have another contractor who worked with me. It was my first job I outsourced. Kyle, I don't know if you remember this. Um, her name's Brittany. I'm connected with her on Facebook. I found her on Upwork as well.
Hello,
I had
Natalie.
found
My name is
someone
Anthony, and I
who
am giving you a
needed
call.
a cleanup job, and I had no clue. This was before I was a part of any Bookkeeper group. I had no clue how to price this job. And I had just switched from like financial analysis to bookkeeping and got this job. And I was like, well, how much do I charge? How much do I charge him or whatever? And had gotten access to his books and knew it wasn't going to be like super painful. But I'm like going over all the pricing that I'd been setting up for my business. And I wound up getting out of the shower. I told Kyle, I was like, okay, we're going to charge him this. It was like 1,500 or 1,200 or something for like 2 years of cleanup. I got out of the shower and I was like, that math doesn't make sense. There's 24 months we have to do, or plus, I think there was like 30 months we had to do. It's like, I'm charging him $2,800. Kyle's like, okay. So like, he was like, I have no clue. Like, we were super new to this. Quoted him, sent the email, quoted him. He said yes. I didn't have time. Like, I wish I had kept this spirit, but like, I really, truly did not have time. It was heading into tax season. I had really small children. And so I found this girl. Thankfully, she worked out. I paid her 30% or like a fixed price on it. This is again before maybe it was hourly. I don't remember, but I wound up paying her like $900 and made what, 1,900 something like crazy. Like, I'll take
Yeah.
that all day long.
We should have just
And
kept doing that over and over.
yeah, can we just kept doing that? He's still a client. I'm about to reach out to him. He has me do his books every year. So at the end of the year. And
It's
I
always
save
an emergency.
like $15. It's like 1,500 a year. So he's good with that. I just do it once a year. So now I can't price increase him, but his books, like he codes a lot of stuff throughout the year. I just have to go move some stuff around and code it
Oh,
and
okay.
reconcile it and complete it. So
You're just doing cleanup and reconciling.
yeah, yeah, it's just kind of a review and put a stamp on it, call it done.
Nice.
So because he doesn't reconcile, and sometimes not everything's connected, so I just have to. It doesn't take long. I do it. It takes me about a week, not like the whole week, right? Because I've got other clients, but so that was an example where we try things, we experiment and see what works.
Yeah.
You
Um,
sent us.
and then okay, so any other questions pop up? Let me check the chat. Yeah. So Kyle posted in the chat. He gives the challenge of the guy who owns online jobs. What I like about him is he teaches you about their culture, about like how to hire them, what's the norm. And I think that's just really important. I have a pastor who lives in the Philippines. They're really similar to the Honduras culture um, and you can even go to YouTube and kind of get to know more about them. US is great too. Don't hear me say like you don't. It's just another option, right? Of like, where do you find these people? I use Upwork and then one VAOA and my network. One of my contractors has come from Megan. So I said, hey, do you know anyone who could do this or whatever? No, you mentioned someone wanted work. They were gonna do DoorDash. If you hear someone, so in this case, like she was already doing coding for Megan. And then she was like, oh, hey, I'm thinking about doing DoorDash. So Megan knew that. And so the instance I said, hey, I'm looking for this, Megan goes, oh, hey, my contractor's looking for more work, right? Like it's less wear and tear on your car and things to do transactions. So and because she does it, I did just start her out at an hourly rate. So okay. I hope that helps. I was on a call this week with one of you. She's actually not on, I don't think. But I found something in QuickBooks Pro Advisor. And I use this site all the time to look for resources or ideas, social media posts, trainings, etc. But I found something you guys are going to love. Especially if you're trying to like go live on Facebook or do a workshop. Workshops are a really good way to position yourself as an expert in your area. So I'm going to share my screen. Is this okay? Anyone object to this? Let me know. Okay, QuickBooks is being really strange, but
Do you answer co-working questions today too, or no?
we kind of can since it went that route. Yeah. Okay, so this is the Pro Advisor tab in QuickBooks. Oh. Oh, we need to add those clients to QuickBooks. That's funny. If you scroll down, like there's a ton of stuff in here. There's discounts you can give your clients, like DocuSign, MailChimp. Oh, who were we talking? I was talking to someone about MailChimp and we could not find it. It's right here. So MailChimp discount. Okay, but down here under training, you'll see QuickBooks online training and presentation material for your clients. Lead easily customized seminars to help your clients in the most of your QuickBooks. Download over 100 training slides, including speaker notes, plus a comprehensive PDF training guide for your clients. So if you're presenting at BNI, if you want to do a live class, if you want to do a workshop, if you want to do a pre-recorded workshop that you lead people to grow your email list, you're going to click download training materials or download presentation. And it's going to give you this like zip file. And
Do
it
they
is,
update this with I mean, things are constantly changing. So is this material as far as you know, constantly changing? And
yeah,
updating?
yeah, it is. So I would grab it and then see what's next. But this is just a basic. So you would come in here, you would open it in PowerPoint. This is just the PDF. You would edit your picture, talk about yourself, and then you would record. You could even technically do this as a course. You could totally do this as a course, and you would have like, 9 modules maybe. So find a pro advisor. This is, how to find you or how to find your like other people if they're not looking for you. Covers converting from desktop to online. And so you would just like it's going to give you speaker notes too. So you could read as you present instead of and then it's already, these are the slides. So you would say this is obviously they're trying to equip you to sell their product. But if you're looking for, have you considered, this would be like, have you considered using QuickBooks Online type presentation? And then, what solution for you? So interior design firm. That has billable expenses. So interior designers buy like pillows and decor and product and whatever. That they then want to bill their clients when they send an invoice. So you guys could do that. And then it just goes on. Teaching your clients about QuickBooks, about how to use it. And often this is one of those like, okay, that looks really hard. Can you just do it for me? Others are going to be like, hey, that looks really easy. They're going to try to do it themselves. And then you're in their back pocket if they change their minds. So I just wanted to show you that that exists. So this is how to use QuickBooks.
I
you
literally
could-
have a training today. that I'm gonna try to use that. Cool.
so, yeah, there you go. So that is, you can use that as a downsell. There's a lot of really good resources in the Pro Advisor. But you could use it as a downsell. I know of a bookkeeper who, their starting price average is $850. So they're average. And so if you're underneath their ideal client, they're going to downsell you into a course, like a training course. So this would be an example of how to do that. Okay. Sylvia, you said you had some questions or a question.
Yes, so I have a client who applied for an Intuit loan, and she was approved, and I asked her for the loan document so I can enter it in her books. And she said she doesn't have anything from Intuit. She just pays
Yeah.
like 2K a month.
No, there's a login. She'll need to go to her email. There's a login. It's not in QuickBooks. It's a separate bank that does that loan, and so she would need to get them for you. Yep.
So do
So
you
you're gonna have
think
to push back and tell her that she's gonna have to go to her. She can call QuickBooks. They're gonna not really know. But she would have gotten an email with that loan information.
when she received the loan, do you think she received an email with the login and all that?
I don't know how they do it, but I've had several clients that have a loan and they do have a separate login. I know one has asked me before and I had to tell them to go to like, it's a specific bank that does it. So it's a whole separate login. So just like any other loan.
Okay. Yeah, because she got this loan back in July and it's end of December. I don't have any documents, so everything went to the loan. But I don't know how much it went to interest and all
Yeah,
that.
you'll just have to push back on her to go get it. Yeah, let her know. Because she probably doesn't know that it's like the struggle with the QuickBooks checking and the QuickBooks loan is they're not really into it, right? So there's a separate bank login. And I think now maybe the statements pull in, but they used to be really hard to find when they first started doing it. And it used to be a separate login. Now we get access, like it pulls in for us. But yeah, you'll just let her know to go through her email and to find those or to call into it, and they can redirect her to the right spot. Or you
Okay.
could call and ask what to tell her. But it's a specific bank and there are statements.
Okay. And the CPA of one of my newest clients, he's an S corp, and the CPA did, you know, shareholder distributions, but she didn't. So the client has the shareholder distribution under the equity account, but there's no shareholder contributions. Is that the case with the S corps? So basically she put the distributions and the contributions in the same account called shareholder distributions.
So
Is
technically
that
the IRS doesn't think that they should be separate accounts. But yeah, if there's one for distributions, there should be one for contributions.
so two separate accounts?
Um, if that's if as a bookkeeper that's how you do it, then yeah.
Well, the CPA did it before me because she used to do my clients' books,
So
and
did
that's how she set
she
it
put
up.
contributions in distributions as well?
What's that?
Did she put the contributions in the distributions account as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so so then you would put uh shareholders equity is what the account should be called if it contains both.
Okay.
The IRS prefers it to be in one. I still separate it out on most clients because they want to see how much they've contributed and how much they've taken out.
I like to have it
Really?
separate too.
Yeah, so you could separate it out. If she's working with the same CPA, you might leave it together so you're not frustrating the
Yeah.
CPA. Yeah.
Thank
So
you. That's
yeah, it
all I
should be called
have.
shareholders equity. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I don't want to hijack the meeting. I've got a lot of questions, but do you use the Intuit like ProAdvisor profile? I've had a lot of trouble like actually getting them to publish it, but I had some different addresses, so I think that might have been the issue. Like my driver's license didn't match my business address, but you know, no.
It's a question. I'm on there. I've gotten equal amounts spam, equal amounts actual inquiries.
Mhm.
It's really nice to have a backlink there. So if you're looking for like SEO,
SEO.
I would put yourself there if you can.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt to put
Yeah.
yourself there. It can
Yeah,
work for
okay.
you, right?
Yeah.
If you're not there, it can't work for you. I've known some bookkeepers who get almost all of their clients from ProAdvisor.
Wow.
That has not been my truth or my reality,
Mhm.
but it doesn't hurt to be there. Like, does that make sense?
Yep. I've gotten zero,
So,
so
yeah. The
zero
same
inquiries,
truth is
zero leads.
like for business directories, like if you're looking to be found in search or to boost your website, like if you're looking, there's a lot of ways to grow a business, right? One of them is SEO and being the first to be found on a Google search, bookkeeper near me, or someone solve this problem, right? What are people searching for? Being listed in business directories locally. I know like TripAdvisor here in Albuquerque, there's businesses listed all day long. And I'm like, why is a plumbing company listed on TripAdvisor? It's for the SEO
Mm.
for it, right? Like I'm not going to visit a plumber if I'm visiting Albuquerque, but um It would be a business directory though, and those are good. Business directories are good for SEO help. As an option. So yeah. I am on a site, so if anyone's open to doing stuff that's not in QuickBooks and learning new software and taking that, on in all that it entails, I'm listed on a site for another software company, and I get calls all year long asking for me to take them on. And I tried to log in to take myself off the directory, and I can't get logged in. So I'm like, how do I
Oh,
remove
no.
myself from this? I do not want another client from this particular said company. But I could have, if I wanted to really learn it, I could have definitely grown a solid six-figure business on that one software alone from leads from their website. So it could work, right? Like you want to pay attention to SEO where you're at. I'm not in the smallest area. So like I just don't stand out on it. I also don't send all my traffic there for like reviews. I send all my reviews to Google reviews, so that also probably hinders that.
Oh,
Because you could send out, like, there's a spot, I'm pretty sure,
request reviews.
like to do reviews on the ProAdvisor, yeah.
Yeah. Fewer
So-
people are looking for you there, so you send them to Google. Or you feel like people
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, because since I did so much with Upwork, when Upwork was, it had like really just rebranded within the past year or so. I was getting featured in like Phoenix Bookkeeper's top 10 list.
Mhm.
That it just made sense for me to send everyone to Google so I could build that like ranking. So now people will still search like Phoenix Bookkeeper and I show up. So it makes sense for the reviews to be where they're searching. For me. Like, yeah. I could have just stayed on Upwork and I could have directed all my reviews to Upwork. And that there is a bookkeeper in the group. Is she on today? She is not on today. She almost exclusively does Upwork, and she does really well still with it. And she does a lot of
I don't
hourly
even-
quotes because of it. But honestly, she makes more doing that at she might be around $65 an hour, give or take, on Upwork, and she does better with that than quoting hourly on Upwork. Or sorry, quoting fixed.
Yeah.
And then she keeps them on Upwork, which means she's growing her profile on Upwork. I took them off.
Okay, gotcha. You didn't want to pay the cut.
I was like, if you sign my engagement letter, great. If not, we'll stay on Upwork. But most people just
Yeah.
engagement letter, and then they were on off Upwork. So interesting. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts? We have a solid 15 minutes.
Or
What
any
was
major
your biggest
concerns?
win? Oh, I was gonna say, what
That's
is your
also a good
biggest
one.
win of the year for
Mine?
this group or for your own bookkeeping business?
Okay, guys, answer that question in the chat, and then I can say mine for my bookkeeping business would be I like 4x my income last year in a few months. As a result, I said yes to a lot of clients that were not clients that either we should have said yes to or not. We were trying to get the yes, right? My business is at a much better spot than it was last year, which is always a win. Nicer clients that want to work with me. And all of our last three clients, average 4 clients. Well, one of them was 625, but the other three were all over 1,000. for basic bookkeeping for the most part. Um, so now I have a higher goal of let's get that minimum up again. Like, let's get the average of 1,500 per client.
Mm.
So that's where I'm at. But like, there has been a point where I was like during financial analysis and strategies when I started my business, I moved down to bookkeeping. Well, just over to bookkeeping. And then about a year later, I hit this like super huge revenue funk where I was like, no client's gonna sign over $100.
Mm.
I truly believe that in that instance. Megan talked me out of it.
Our mindset hero.
Right, mindset hero.
That's
For
right.
sure, absolutely,
Mindset hero.
absolutely. I was just
I tripled my, maybe I quadrupled. I think I did actually quadruple from last year to this year, but I mean, I started off real low, so it's pretty great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's I don't know. It was, yeah. I started off very small at the beginning or the end of last year, and so then there's a lot of room to grow. So this year I don't anticipate that much growth again, but I definitely have the point where I want to. I just feel like there's a lot of potential, so I want to do it right and put the systems in place so I can
yeah, and
support
the
people
system will help.
myself.
Sure. Well, congrats. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, that's very cool because that's something that we're constantly trying to challenge people to think past some of the rather unfortunate training that creates that $100 a client limit in your brain. And when that's the case, you think, well, I could make $1 million, but that means I need basically 1 million clients, and that's not
Mhm.
tenable,
Yeah.
right? So don't try and do that. Learn, gain confidence, because the general rule of thumb is somebody that pays $100 for something, when it breaks, they're going to be like, oh, well, that sucks, but whatever, right? If someone pays $1,000 for something, their expectations are worlds different than paying $100, regardless of what it is, regardless of industry, right? Especially in the service area. If someone is paying $2,500 a month for a service, they really have a lot that they expect out of that relationship, but also they're not going to be frustrated at having questions asked of them more often than not, right? They're going to want to make sure stuff is done right. So our experience has broadly been the higher paying clients tend to be better clients and often more respectful than the client that's arguing over that extra $50 a month. And so I can't think of many examples that don't fit that category.
Oh, I can. Megan can.
My favorite are my small clients.
Yeah, remember there was a client that we, 3 companies, $800 a month. He was a miserable client. Or the client that was 3,000, like 3,300 a month. That was absolutely a absolute disaster, nightmare. Like in that, like for both of those, we provided really good service. We were on top of things, but they didn't want to get us stuff. And then the 33,000, he was just an absolute jerk. Like,
Yeah, when I had my 3,000 a month client, he was too.
no. So there's like good $1,500, $2,500 clients that, they just want you to code transactions. They have like the reason ours are so high is there's some accrual things going on, or they've just got a lot of transactions going on. Does that make sense? Versus like trying to class track and separate out, and the more like they're not complex clients, they're simple clients, they're just larger clients. Like there's more going on for them. Does that make sense? I think that's a huge distinction of like the client we want going forward.
Yeah, it is. It's something that we're constantly trying to refine and better understand so that we can more quickly evaluate up front whether or not we're going to be a good fit. And it turns out Sherry's gut is a pretty good indicator of that. If she thinks somebody's going to be terrible, very high statistical likelihood that they will be a bad client. So she's a good one to listen to on that topic.
Okay, so we have a couple of Melinda, so on your question, I mean, if they're taking different distributions, the tax preparer is just going to attribute different income to each of them. So the person, like, even if that's just different from their agreement, like they have to maintain that percentage. So it will, so I mean, if they really are distributions, then they're distributions. So you would code them as such, if I'm following that correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Congrats, Ashley. Guys, so my income, like, I was at a steady 3,000 a month, like working, Kyle, what, 10 hours a month? Like I wasn't working much, just on the weekends when you were home. And
And
often
some of those
weekends at
nights till
night.
3 a.m. occasionally.
Yeah.
Usually when the bad clients would email saying, I need all my financials for the whole quarter or the year, and I need them tomorrow morning, first thing. Jerks.
Yeah, we still haven't brought, yeah, anyway. Well, then we had the other client that like changed stuff 3 times that year. But then we took it over to almost 12,000 a month. And then we've come down strategically from that a little bit. So and putting systems in place, Catherine, to get it off my plate, right? Like because I would find myself redoing stuff from some bad contractors or just stuff. And this year it felt like I was just always putting out like some fire. Kyle like hates me touching bookkeeping now. Like if he can keep me from it, because I will always find the problems, and sometimes the problems are like really big. So we put some systems in place to prevent that from happening. But I think you have to like that wasn't an issue last quarter, right? It became an issue, and then like you address it. There's always like a different systematic issue that you're trying to correct. And I think that's in any business. So I was just reading a book called Traction, which is out of the EOS kind of system. So if you've ever been at a company that does like rocks, or what are the top 3 things that you're going to focus on this quarter, that's one of their books. But like even then, as you grow, like they're showing, okay, it wasn't an issue before, but it's an issue now. Or when we do the success plan, we go through a book, and in that book it shows the cycle of fixing things in the business. And you fix it once, you grow, you're going to eventually have to tweak or fix it again. Like it is a revolving issue. Or as software changes or something, like you want to be weeding out the efficiency, because you're going to think something's important. A year later, it might not be, because now a software can do it and you didn't know, right? So like always kind of be, clockwork is a really good one for this. Catherine, depending on how much you're wanting to work, clockwork is kind of, it's about systems with the end in mind of having the business run completely without you. So being able to take a month unchecked from the business while it runs itself, right? So that's clockwork, and it walks you through how to do it
Sounds nice.
within 18 months. So So you would, quarter one, you would take a 1 week vacation. Quarter two, you're taking a 2 week vacation. Quarter three, you're taking a 3 week vacation. Quarter four, you're taking a 4 week vacation.
We did a 6 week road trip while working. That was very interesting. That's when I was like, okay, I need, in case we lose internet access, I need other people to, be here. So it worked a lot, but it forced me to like trust somebody else, which was, it's been interesting. I feel like I trust the people I have, but still like bare minimum.
So that contractor that's been with me for like 2 years, I just actually moved her up into review mode to take off. Like, so she's like my first step of quality assurance. Like, are things right? Or are things coded correctly? Because like by the time I get into it, I shouldn't be having to say bank feeds are in the wrong category. Something like simple like that. Like that should already be taken care of. I should be looking at, does the balance sheet make sense? Does this make sense? Or is there anything the business owner could benefit from? Like yesterday, I was on a tax strategy call with a client. I've easily saved him $6,000 just because of something, actually way more than that, because of something then we noticed that the bookkeeper wasn't doing. And he was like, oh, wait, electricity is part of home office? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is. Like, so I was able to add to that. Yeah, absolutely. Danny, 4 weeks off would be super cool. So then I was going to add to that, Catherine, how can you make it so that it has to happen, right? You have to trust your team. You have to do this, and there might be bumps. You might lose a client in the process. But I wouldn't start breaking things. Like, we don't want to break the piggy bank. But what we do want to do is make sure we have those leads coming in so we know where our next client is coming from. So if we don't have that, we have to troubleshoot that. Then as you go, how do you restrict yourself from not being able to code transactions?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you can't touch them.
Yeah. I still, with the contractors I have to be like, okay, sometimes I'll do Loom trainings. Like if they have a question, I will still do it. And then I undo it. So that way they have to do it. It's like really hard for me to be like, just do it yourself. It's easier. But I'm like, I have to train them. I am training them. So I have literally done the work. Here's the Loom. You redo it. So that way, for next time. Because I learned by doing. And so it's not the most efficient way. I feel like that's where the systems come into play. Like I want to have onboarding a contractor to be systemized, and I don't know. They can
keep in mind,
force them to go through the training on ProAdvisor or something.
Yeah. So keep in mind in our Bookkeeper Blueprint Plus, where we that's really designed for people trying to scale their business, hire contractors. Your contractors can use those one-to-ones.
Okay.
So you could start to and you can have them record them and put them save them in Keeper, make it really specific. Hey, I want you to get on a one-to-one. Here's the link. Here's how to do it. I want you to solve this problem. And then that one-to-one training becomes the process and procedure that then as they do it, they would re-record. So Clockwork, along with the Bookkeeper Blueprint, would take you past that next step. For sure. But just as an aside, so the unlimited one-to-ones. Now they are still limited a little bit. Because you can only
availability
do one,
right?
But and then availability. But we have I am meeting with someone. It's her third one-to-one with me alone this week. Right. And she's so we move as fast as you. So
you didn't do it.
Just as an aside, I see that we just reached the hour. Any other questions or questions? Y'all's holiday pictures were cute.
Are you cute?
Cheesy grits there.
What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the people.
Look at all those people.
Make them
Oh.
talk to me.
Talk to them. Oh, there's the other.
There you go.
You want to come up and say hi? And say, oh, another cutie. Two. Okay, let's see.
Look, do they look the same?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you say hi?
Hi. I didn't hear the nice part.
You didn't hear that quite as much. You say
Mm.
hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Say hi.
Hi.
Oh.
I think you.
No, look, you can hear. Sherry is saying hi with her little boy.
Say hi.
Ayla is gonna have, when she grows up, she's gonna have a boy first. Okay. Is that right? Yeah.
He's so excited. He's like super happy.
A sweet little boy.
Why don't all of those was
Oh, he's gone.
For all the names.
yes.
Sherry, Megan, Kyle, Cheryl, Liz. Let's see, Alita, Melinda, Danny, Sandra, Chastity. All right, I think that's everybody that's here.
I want to make the other ones up to you.
Well, they are having some privacy right now. Do you like privacy sometimes?
Oh, fun.
No, that
We know
Oh,
their
okay.
name.
Danny asked, I was going to ask you about, I know I hired a contractor who's not a contractor for, um, no, yeah, so contractors don't get added to the group, but they can schedule like the one-to-one on your behalf. Does that make sense? So like if you buy a bundle of one-to-ones and you want them to use it, they just need to use your email address to schedule. So we know who it goes to. But yeah, only like legal partners can be added to the group. Now, we have had someone like pay to have their contractor in the group before. So that's an option. The downside is if they are growing their own business, like, is it your expense really, or is it theirs, or is it your perk, like, for them to be working with you? So we've seen that. Absolutely. So they wouldn't be on calls, like we can't have them on calls. We had an issue not too long ago where someone was sharing calls with like their contractor. So yeah, we can't do that, but they can get on a one-to-one to ask a question. You do not have to be on. It can be on their time. So it just needs to be scheduled through your email. And then like they could be CC'd so they get the invite. So both of you, just so we know where to assign it to. So we're not, because the coaches, like, we're looking for that, like, yeah, so-and-so has a call. So if they get on and, they're going to get a message saying, hey, you don't have a one-to-one, like you have to go purchase, and then they're going to be really confused. So, but yeah, we see that used a lot though. So contractors can absolutely do that. Yep. Cool. Okay. I think that's all of the questions. Let me know if not, and then we can start wrapping up. Okay. Anything else before we jump off? Okay. Okay. Bye, guys. I'm going to end the call. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll watch the chat, and you guys have a good weekend. Say bye.
Yep. Have a good weekend, everyone.